I've said this before. I would absolutely love for Adrian Love, Simone Hilton, Fonnie Willis, and even Mr. Atkins. I would love them to be elementary school teachers for a semester from August to the Christmas break. And I would love for them to get the full teacher experience. That's field trips, parent-teacher conferences, homework assignments, and of course, all the subject matters. Because in elementary school, you teach all subjects. The only thing you don't teach is art, music, and PE. You teach all of the subjects, unless you're in a school where maybe you have like a science lab, sometimes like that. But most of the time, you teach everything. I would absolutely love to watch them handle that. Because if they did, they would realize and they would understand, yeah, you don't focus on, there's some things you don't focus on as much because it's not going to be a testable skill. They don't focus on it so much because it's not going to be something that the kids are going to need. You don't focus on it so much because it's not something that's a priority. You get to the brass tacks in the beginning of the day. Everything pops off once the bell rings. So that's when you got your handwriting, your reading, your math, most of the time, small groups. All that stuff transpires usually before lunch. Because usually after lunch, you're going to do science and social studies, maybe a remediation of one of the skills from before. But after lunch, the wheels on the bus come off. So you got about 3.5 hours sometimes, maybe 3, to get as much done in that 180 minutes as possible. Because once you go to lunch, and unless you have like an early lunch or something else that'll bring everybody back in, bring them back to focus, that by the afternoon, that's when they're going to have the jitters. They're going to be wanting to move around. That's when we got specials, all that kind of stuff like that. So right now we are going to focus on and get as much done. I really believe that they would benefit from that. Maybe even hiring a former teacher. I am not for sale. I am not going to be the one. But maybe they could have a former teacher to help them with their courtroom prep. And what I mean by that is what they're focusing on is not money making. That sounds bad. What they're focusing on is not a testable, I'm gonna go back to moneymaker. It's not something that's weighty. It's not a weighty topic. And I know a lot of you don't like standardized tests, but I got to use that as an example. It's not going to be a testable skill. For example, I love handwriting. Okay. Even though I don't really write that much anymore. Since I left teaching, I don't handwrite very much. And sometimes when I write, I'm like, what the heck is this stuff? But I still adore handwriting. I still adore cursive. And I just don't do it a lot. I have a little notebook right here when I keep my notes. When I take notes, I write them out. And sometimes it looks like chicken scratch. I'm like, I should have been a doctor. But I would be foolish. I would have been insane to spend a lot of time. And even when I was in a school that taught cursive, my daughters know cursive because I was their teacher in second grade. And I wasn't the big girl's teacher. I was Taylor's teacher for second grade. I taught her handwriting. And she's fantastic still. But let me go back. I still would have been crazy to spend, remember I told you got 180 minutes before the first real break of the day. And usually it starts digressing from there. I would have been crazy to spend an hour on handwriting. That would have been insane. You know why? Because handwriting is not a testable skill. When you get to standardized tests in the spring or map tests in the spring, you have map tests in the beginning of the year and you have map tests again at the end of the year. Nobody is going to know that the kid knows handwriting and has exquisite cursive. You know why? Because they're clicking little buttons on the screen, or they're bubbling in something with a number 2 pencil. So handwriting is not a very testable skill. Okay. It's not something that you're going to make. There's some dexterity there. There's some reading of ancient documents. There's benefit to it. It's just not going to be tested. And at the end of the day, when millage rates are determined, when companies are deciding whether or not they're going to move into a particular community, they're going to see how well the school did in XYZ testing areas, usually math, science, social studies, and of course, reading language arts. They don't want to know whether or not little Johnny can write in cursive. And they don't necessarily care if little Sally can read the Declaration of Independence in cursive. Those are great skills. They're just not what people are looking for as it relates to being transferable and show the world how well your school is doing. Now, back to where I'm going. Back to Adrian and Simone and them. They are not going for the big money shots. They're not showing the great thing. They are literally worrying about, we are watching little Woody sharpen a pencil. That's what we're watching. Sure. Sharpening a pencil can be valuable because you can't do your math if you don't have a pencil, right? Got you. Sharpening a pencil is valuable. You can't do your homework if you don't have a pencil. I got you. But is that really what the world's going to, is that what this case is surrounding? That's what they're doing. We've watched now 4.5 hours, and good gracious alive, probably 4 more hours of Woody sharpening a pencil. And sharpen it down to the nub. It's useless. It has no value. Give me a pen. Pull out a typewriter, for crying out loud. Get an abacus. But we don't need, okay, let's get to some meaty topics. Because guess what? The jurors, in my example here, are going to be like the companies that are looking to buy into or move into a particular area. And they want to know, like, hey, what kind of schools are around here? Hey, are these kids learning? Are these kids being taught well? Are they safe? They're like, hey, what's going on over here? Oh, the kids know how to sharpen pencils? What? What are y'all doing over there? Oh, the kids know how to do hopscotch? What the heck is that about? We want to know, do they know reading, writing, and math? We want to know, do they have science skills? Wait. They know how to eat lunch? I'm sorry, that's not something we want to buy into. And that's what they're doing. They're not focusing on the things that really matter. What matters is whether or not those 6 men over there committed the crimes that they're saying that they're doing at the current moment. We're learning about doggone whether or not Woody was involved in gambling at the green store. Y'all, that's why I'm saying Judge Whitaker needs to blow the whistle, throw the flag, and say, y'all need to get on to the topics at hand. What in the devil are you doing here? Because I'm promising you, the jury is not paying attention to this. I don't know that emphatically. I don't know who the people are. But I'm just going to say, if the jury is made up of 12, 18, just regular old people, and if you and I myself demonstrate, kind of like normal folk in the live chat as well as here, I'm gonna go on a limb and say, ain't nobody paying attention to this. This sounds horrible. Just like listening to somebody sharpen a pencil for 20 minutes. What the devil? Is that pencil sharp? Go sit down and do your work. Do the stuff that matters. Do the stuff that people are concerned about. Nobody cares about whether or not you're running your pencil all the way down to the nub. That's ridiculous. You're over here sharpening crayons at this point. Nobody cares. Get to the point. Get to the matter at hand. And sadly, I don't think they know that. I don't think. And back to the original point that I was making, Adrian Love, Simone Hilton, I'll even throw Atkins in there, definitely Fonnie. They need to teach elementary school for a good little clip. It will change their whole perspective. I do believe in career swapping. I thought that was a great, that was big when I first started teaching. It was good to bring like a CEO and let them be the principal for a day, or just move people around, let them see what it's like to be in a classroom or in a school building. It was a neat concept, and I think they need to do that more. Even if it was just for enough time for them to really be acclimated, dare I say, baptized in the fire of managing children. Because I said this yesterday, a lot of the errors and a lot of the mistakes that Adrian Love and Simone Hilton are making, if you transfer that into an elementary school, those are children. So just as unruly and unprepared as they are at that desk in the courtroom, that's how unruly and unprepared their classroom would probably be. And you can't tell me, I'm sorry, because your DAs and deputy district attorney and all these great letters and stuff like that. That means you went to school to do this job, just like I went to school to be a teacher. So there's a comparison there. You would never, I can say this emphatically, you would never have come in for the 15 years that Jason Whitaker was a teacher, come into my classroom and see my classroom look as unruly as Adrian Love and Simone Hilton's did. Even when I didn't even have a lesson plan, let me tell you, I was flying by the seat of my whole pants. You would have never seen my classroom, as crazy as that is, unless we were doing some indoor recess or something. Unless we were having like a lockdown, a school-wide lockdown. Because when I taught on Cleveland Avenue, we had school-wide lockdowns quite often. But yeah, you would never have seen my classroom look like them. You would never seen that. Now that I can stand on. Because I know how to do it, I can see what they're doing wrong. Y'all don't have a lesson plan. You just come to here like, oh, we about to pull out the big TV. We're gonna watch movies all day. That's what they're doing. We're watching TV all day. That's crazy. Absolutely insane. Oh my gosh. See, I love this. Presenting a case involves hands-on learning. Give them something to understand. Like, I guarantee you, if you had brought, and they did earlier, they had some more hard evidence. Stick with the hard evidence. Again, this ancillary, watching Woody sharpen a pencil is insane. It sounds like he sharpened a pencil, for crying out loud. The audio's all weird. Man, y'all need y'all butts whooped for that stuff. Y'all wasting these people's time. It's called building a case for a reason. I got you. And I don't feel comfortable that they've built a sufficient case. I feel like they're trying to hang walls and hang curtains on wet cement. That's how I feel. Based on Love's management of this case, she is not the mastermind of the RICO, and the judge is modeling for them. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way, if you have children, and don't do it confrontationally, ask your child's teacher, how do they, maybe ask them, say, hey, do you mind if I just ask? You don't have to see it, just ask them for a confirmation. Do you do lesson plans for the whole week? And do you have like a day by day or even an hour by hour? My last teaching assignment, we had an hour by hour breakdown, 90-minute breakdowns. So you knew every 90 minutes, if you walked by my classroom and it was 12:58, you knew based upon my lesson plan that had to be hung outside the door, you knew what I was teaching. So you can see on the lesson plan, Jason's teaching Bible. Look in there. Oh, he's teaching Bible. And the only reason I say that, and it might be beneficial, so you can kind of understand, like, your teacher, your student's teacher should be looking toward or building toward building the case toward your child getting to the end of their grade, having mastered all the skills. Okay. Sure. Somebody's going to be slower, and sometimes it's like herding cats, trying to get all the little cats going in the right direction. But I promise you, as sure as my name is Jason, my classroom would never have looked like Simone Hilton's and Adrian Love's tabletop. That looks crazy. I sure would not have gone, because this is effectively a parent-teacher conference. This is effectively a school board meeting. This is akin to a teacher workshop, and you're presenting your information. And teachers are some of the worst people to have in a workshop. Teachers are the worst people to bring to a meeting, and I'm myself included, because we're off task. We don't pay no attention to each other. We don't. So she would get excoriated if she brought that foolishness to it. But let me continue. Thank you so much, though. See, that's the thing. That's why that's what I'm saying. If you taught little people, you would learn, Pedro, that you got to keep bouncing. So my bouncing strategy was, we played music all day. There was always some kind of musical, something playing in the background. And I learned, my students really started liking my playlist, which was great because I liked it, right? So they really liked it. So I would use the music to transition So without talking about what the actual tracks were, I had music that I would play that the kids liked for language arts. And it would keep them, they could bop their heads. They could, sing to themselves and do their spelling. Do your writing, but you have to be done by the time the song is finished. I will say this, though. I don't know why I loved that song by Average White Band, Pick Up the Pieces. I love that song. So we would play Pick Up the Pieces for like indoor recess, or if we had to go do an art project in class, whatever, because the song was exactly 10 minutes long. And so the kids knew they could listen to, they could listen to Pick Up the Pieces while we cleaned up. So we would do indoor recess. We would be doing an art project, some kind of cutting activity. But they knew once Pick Up the Pieces came on that they had to be done by the time the song ended. And they liked how it ended because you get all hyped up and you hear the horns and all that stuff. And they knew that once it was done, they all had to be seated at their seats, ready to go. So they didn't. So those are kind of transitions to keep their attention we would do. And man, I need to hear that. I need to play Pick Up the Pieces, but I'm gonna get in trouble on the. I agree. Right. I mean, again, I'm not trying to big myself up. But I think working with people that are in different fields, like there is something that I could learn from an auto detailer that somebody who owns a small business that specializes in digital content might not be able to learn. So I like listening to, I mean, there's a lot of people I talk to that are so far out of like, why in the world do you talk to that person? They have nothing to offer you. Oh, yes, they do. And I think the Fulton County DA's office, they need some grizzled teachers. That's what they need. Instead of suing Atlanta public school teachers, they should have been trying to hire some of them to teach them how to lay out a plan. Ooh, that was bad. That was shots fired. That was clippable. That was clippable, Jason. That was not bad, my guy. I like that. Kudos.
Hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.